Okay, so in this lesson we are going to cover the basics of perspective, the seemingly confusing and difficult things that have to do with this little guy right here, your ruler. He is your friend and he wants you to succeed, so be nice to him because you're going to need him an awful lot. What we're going to be covering in this lesson are 5 terms, 5 basic terms. 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, I think you know what the third one is, 3-point perspective. We're also going to be covering the terms horizon line and vanishing point. Ta-da! So, what do all those terms mean, and why are they so scary? Well, they're actually not. They're actually not scary at all. Your horizon line is basically where your horizon ends. When you look off into the distance and, when you look at a landscape, right where you stop being able to see things, way in the distance, that's your horizon line. So let's just go ahead and set one up right here in about the middle of the page. And now, on your horizon line is where we're going to put our first vanishing point. We're going to work with 1-point perspective just at this moment, and I'm going to put it right here. A vanishing point is where all the different lines go towards. So let's say you're in a hallway. You want to draw the sides of your walls, and you're looking down the hallway. All of your diagonal lines are going to go towards your vanishing point. That's 1-point perspective because you have one vanishing point right down there. And you can put in a ceiling and such and such. See, the horizon isn't the floor. A lot of people seem to think that the horizon is the floor in any picture. It's not. It's meant to be erased. It's just where you put your little dot. But you can rough out the end of the hallway. This can be the ceiling. This can be the floor. There's the end of the floor. Erase that. And then put in your doors and everything. When you assemble your doors into a hallway and all that, you'll still be using that 1 point to make sure they are lined up just the way they should be. All these little diagonal lines. So there's your hallway, and you can use them for any straight lines, for the molding around the door, the framework, all that sort of thing. Yep, yep, yep. And it's just an easy way of showing 1-point perspective, where you're looking down something. It can be down a hallway, it can be down one lane of traffic. It can be down a street. Anywhere where everything is converging onto 1 point. That is your 1-point perspective. And it's the easiest perspective to master because you've just got the 1 point. Later on, we'll raise and lower the horizon and, and play with angles and dynamics. But for right now, this is the most basic thing. And you can just keep on going all the way until you have one big corridor full of doors, and it's very dramatic because it's coming right at you live and in person. And it can just go on and on and on until you have all your doors and you have one big beautiful hallway. And that is not hard at all. Okay, in the last video we talked about 1-point perspective, horizon lines, and vanishing points. Still got our little list here in my terrible handwriting. So we've covered 1-point perspective. Now we're going to move on to 2-point perspective, which is a little bit more difficult than 1 point, but not as difficult as some might think. We got our little friend the ruler, and we're going to drop in our horizon line. Now the thing I didn't tell you in the last lesson is that the lower you put your horizon line, the lower in the scene your viewer will be. So if your horizon line is really low, your viewer is going to be looking up at a really tall building. If your horizon line is really high, your viewer is going to be like a bird in the sky looking down on the building. And that's an easy thing to remember. If the horizon is low, then the camera is low. The camera for setting up your scene. So low horizon, low camera. High horizon, high camera. We're going to go with medium. Make it medium low. Yeah, just maybe medium. So we drop in our little line. I'm going to extend it out a little bit because when we do 2-point perspective, it's important to have, unless you want a very, very dramatic sort of fisheye lens look, it's important to have your vanishing points, your vanishing points outside the panel of art that you're doing for your comic. I'm going to put one right here and one right here. If you cram them too close together, it's going to look totally bizarre. It's going to be technically correct, but it's going to be really sharp and angular and just a little bit odd. And it may be what you're looking for in some dramatic scenes, but 90% of the time it's not what you want. So I'm just going to draw a building. Okay, use my ruler, and I'm going to take a line from the left one. Make a lot of noises when I draw, or do anything. Eat cereal, get the mail, whatever. Make a lot of noises. Like a sound machine. And another line from the right. I'm going to have a long side of the building and a short side right here. And then I'm going to draw the bottom of the building. Now you don't want to angle it way too down because then your building's just going to look dreadfully odd, just dreadfully odd. You want the corner to be right here, obviously, where the lines meet. Zoop, like that. So it should keep the bottom somewhere towards the horizon line. It's best to eyeball it just to see what is good for your scene because it's different for everybody, but I like mine right there. So I'm going to draw the end of the building and the other end, which is a little bit shorter because this is the short side of the building. It's like a long rectangle, maybe like a factory or something. And we'll take out our horizon line from on top of the building and our little guidelines. And there is your box, which is all a building is most of the time, unless it's that thing in Epcot Center. That's a giant golf ball. We don't have a giant golf ball lesson in this course, but maybe in the next one. Next time on giant golf balls. There is your building, your big rectangular box. And it's not hard to do. And see how I'm adding a door in here? Pick the top of the door out with my vanishing point. Vanishing points and rulers are your best friends. They love you so much. Check it out. Yay. They love you. Because you can do just about everything on your building with just a point and a ruler. And some sound effects. Woo. I can add in a gallery of windows. A row of windows is called a gallery. Or at least it is in some kinds of architecture. We learned that in school. A lot of people ask me, how do you learn all these things? Where do you go to learn them? And I said, well, I learned them in school. And they say, oh, you can learn things in school? Granted, a lot of the people who ask me that are in high school and are at that age where we all went through, where we know more than everybody on the entire planet because we're teenagers. Everybody goes through that phase. But yes, your teachers actually know how to do things. Speaking of which, I'm adding in these windows right now, just a row of windows, and I'm not taking good care to see how they're going to be spaced out, because obviously they'd all have to be equal sizes, but in perspective, because that is a lesson that is coming up. That's a fast trick that's coming up in this course that is so cool. And when I showed it to someone on a page that I had drawn, they said, oh, my teacher showed us that in art class. I didn't think anybody actually used that. I didn't think professionals use that. I said, well, what did you think we do? They're like, I just figured you'd know it. I'm like, oh yeah, look at me. I'm a graphing calculator. I eat and sleep lines. No. I eat and sleep Rice Krispie treats. But no, that's an actual thing that actual people do, and I learned it from my professor, and it's the most useful thing in the world sometimes. But you see how you can just start to add in your windows, you can start to add in your decorations, and once you have everything squared away, you can start doing the molding and do like an edge for your building, start giving it a little bit of character, build it out, maybe put a little maintenance shed on top. See how everything is just coming together with just these 2 points. So great. So it's got like a little maintenance shed up here. A big maintenance shed, I guess. Maybe that's where the boiler is. I have no idea. I don't know infrastructure, but I do know that this has a little door in it for the janitor to go in. That's where he keeps his really tall brooms. All his tall brooms are in here. And, you know, there's a Ninja Turtle on top. He's just patrolling the scene. He's just making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to and all this perspective is in order and nothing's going down. It's Donnie. You can tell. He's got a bow staff. He's like, whoa, no crime here. Better go climb up on some other half-finished building. But that's all there is to it. It's just a simple little box that, with a little bit of effort and a ruler and 2 lines right here, maybe there's a little tiny building in the background just around the corner, with just a little bit of effort, 2 points and a ruler, you can have a whole row of buildings. You can have a whole cityscape. You can have a building back here. It's kind of doing other building stuff. It's going, there's like there's a guy in the window and he's like, oh my god, there's a turtle on that building. Why doesn't anybody believe me? So Hitchcock. It's so Rear Window. Love it. God, you gotta come see this. Sorry, I'm a little ridiculous, but you can have a whole map of buildings just by using these 2 points. So I hope you enjoyed that. Get ready to, after you practice this, of course, get ready to move on to something very difficult, 3-point perspective. It's 1 more point, but a whole new dimension of skill. So I'll see you then.